Hail and welcome to the newest episode of Ready Set Shag. I'm your host, the Shagsworth. I am here tonight with someone who, it's been a little bit to get him on. He's a busy man. I'm sure everyone knows him. But if this is your first time joining and you don't know or if are not familiar with this podcast, I sit down and speak with people who I want to get to know a little bit better. People I admire. A lot of times, people who are on like sort of the opposite spectrum of maybe political affiliation, ideology. I find it helpful to have conversations with people I disagree with. So that's what we do here. But tonight, someone I greatly admire, met him a few times. We've out in Vegas. We have the one, the only Nerdrotic. What's going on, bud?
What's up, Shags? How's it going, man?
Just
I feel like I just saw you.
I know it's weird sitting in this situation because not like a month ago we were just in the same room hanging out.
Same room. I saw that one. Was it Carrie Smith? I can't remember. They're like, "Is he as tall as you?" And you're like, "No." I shrug. I'm like, "No, yeah, he's taller than me."
No, it was Gothics because Gothics was like
Gothics. That's right.
Yeah, it's like, holy crap, is he taller? I'm like, no, I slouch. It's a really bad habit.
Average. I'm extremely I'm radically average.
And you had your boots on, I think, that night, and I was wearing my slippers. So I didn't have a sole in there. But
it's all good. That's the only time I wear my boots now. I used to wear those things you have to rip me out of my docks. But now I'm old. I wear flip-flops around the house.
But yeah,
pretty much all day.
I spent I spent 10 years in Hawaii, so like flip-flops are like just what I like to wear. They're just comfortable. I wear them everywhere. No, man, it was great hanging out in Vegas. What a killer time it is every year. As I said, like, while I think I did like kind of a follow-up in our show while we were there, is that it's crazy to watch you guys, stand for that amount of time. You guys did, I mean, you guys basically did 3 days between Chris Gore's thing and then the F&T meetup. Like it was awesome. And I think it's, when people badmouth the fellowship occasionally, I just think, yeah, but have you ever been to these like events? Like these guys are like, they're putting out everything. They're fronting all this money for these events. They're meeting the fans. They're talking to them. Like it's you and that fan one-on-one for like 5 minutes a piece, 10 minutes a piece. And that's amazing, man. Like, so like, seriously, my hat's off to you guys and what you do.
It's a fun thing. They're genuinely fun, and that's why I do them. Like I have a good time, and for me anyway, they'll always be free. No shade on anybody else who wants to do whatever the hell they want, but I just feel like it's important that for me to keep egos in check, and also remember, like, I am just a fan. I'm just an idiot, and the fact that people want to see me is surreal, and I need to be grateful for it. But the other thing I'm grateful for is like how good of a time you guys have. Like that's where you guys can connect and you go off and like, you do your own meetups now, which is just what it's supposed to be. Right. And it's trying to put a little fun back in the fandom. I know we rip it all the time, but we just, shoot the shit at these events. And like, honestly, it's what I did at the comic stop every day. Stood behind that counter 8 to 10 hours a day, talking to people. One of the best times of my life, just talking about comic books and TV shows. And I genuinely love doing it. So, and Geeks and Gamers comes out, everybody comes out, they join in. And now it's to the point where you guys buy so much alcohol that we get the place for free, like for like almost a week. It's like, so that's all you guys. Yeah. And Millennium Fandom Bar loves you guys, absolutely adores you guys.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep doing it. And I like the fact that I know I can do it for 3 days now. I am not totally old. That's and then bring Chris and other people in and other channels. Like I don't intend on stopping it at all. It's tons of fun to meet you guys, and it fires us up and it makes it real. It's great seeing you all in the chat and stuff, but like putting the name to the face, and then now it's seeing people for 5th or 6th or 7th time. There's couple guys who like flew to the UK to see us, which is just insane. There was people
Yeah.
from Germany, there was people from Australia. It was so cool. It was so much fun. Can't wait
Yeah.
here.
I think that's like seeing that, like you kind of said it, is that we go to see you guys because, you know, I mean, it's, you know, it's surreal to be in the same room a lot of times, and then but then there's like we all kind of split off and we do our own little like circle meetups, and we
Yeah.
go, you know, like a lot of people went and, you know, shot guns, and then there's, you know, everyone's meeting up at the bar. We're doing little shows while we're there. You know, meeting up with salty nerd guys, like all that stuff is just like, that's why, I mean, at least in my opinion, that's why I go to those things, is because I want to engage with the people who I do shows with, the people in the chat, because I know they're going out there. And so, and it's just it's a huge bonus that, you know, you guys, like, we're able to go there and, you know, get around for free, and then drink, and then drink as much as we want. And then get, you know, you guys let us, you know, we can just get in there. We're not paying a cover charge or anything. That's awesome, man. So I know I speak for everyone when I say thank you for everything that you do in that way. And we hope it never stops, because
It's
fun.
our thank you to you guys. Like, it's the least we can do. It is. I speak for all of us. None of us expected to be doing YouTube full time, and that's because of you guys. And I wish I could do more. I honestly wish I could do more. So they will continue. We'll go to other countries when we can. Gonna do one here in Texas. I think we're gonna be at Dallas for a day. We are gonna be at Dallas for a day, and then San Antonio later, and there'll be more.
Nice.
There'll be more. So
Yeah, I'm like,
thanks everybody.
yeah, man. And chat, thank you so much for all of you guys for being
Hell.
here tonight and supporting. I wanted to start off with a question that it'll seem like I've already asked it, but I mean it from a place of like genuine heart. How are you doing?
Oh,
how are you?
Oh, I'm good. You know, it's you know, you're watching so much of what we love fall apart, but I still I am not the kind, you know, I get that, like, I just put my dog down. I'm a little sad about that, right?
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. But I don't get down anymore. I like, I was bummed about it, but my life is good. Life is good. You know, Melissa's doing good. The kids are doing good. And I've got this crazy job that I get to do every day. And it's not all misery, by the way. As a matter of fact, things have been I've been enjoying a lot of stuff lately. I enjoyed X-Men 97. I enjoyed The Gentleman. I enjoyed Shogun. I just watched a couple episodes of Clarkson Farm. That was freaking awesome. Just saw Fall Guy. Didn't hate it. So it's like, yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Sobriety's good, you know, one day at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And yeah, I no complaints. I mean, other than Hollywood, but not my personal life.
Well, that I don't know. I wanted to ask that because I feel like it might be something that is occasionally glazed over. And I do think, like, just sort of acknowledging, like, and as you said, like, things are actually pretty good. You know, it's easy to really rag on culture right now in Hollywood, but I think being able to enjoy things is really important. And we sometimes we miss that. And taking the time to, like, I don't know, take a breath. Like, I'll sometimes just sit outside while my kids are riding their bikes back and forth, and I'll be like, you know what? Like, this is awesome. Like, they're happy. They're yelling. They're asking, "Hey, Dad, come here. Let me show you this thing." And they're looking in a puddle, and I get to look at a dirty puddle for an hour, and I realize, like, this is what life's all about.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, hey, well, you could spend parts of your life. You should, you know, fighting for what you think you need to fight for. Giving back a little bit, you know, for me, that's meetings, giving back a little bit. And but like, it's those little moments that help you balance. I think a lot of content creators, especially, I mean, you know, I think my higher power, I got into this when I was older and sober, because if I was younger, I'd probably be dead. My content would be crap. It would be a giant flame out that everybody would get to watch. But that, like, and I have a lot of admiration for the kids who get into this and can really adapt to the grind and adapt to, like, what it is. But yeah, that's why I do, you know, one video, like, I bust my balls on 1 to 2 videos a week. Then I take 2 or 3 days just completely off. And it's usually research or whatever, but that's air quotes.
Yeah.
It's watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of movies, reading a lot of stuff that I wouldn't read anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a balance. It's finding that balance. And it took me only like 50 years to find it. So, truly find somewhat of a balance. Takes a little time. Haven't always been good at it, but yeah, I'm generally a pretty happy person. Even when something is horrible, or I just saw that Chucky is gay now.
What?
You just got to roll your eyes and laugh at it at this point. Yeah, Chucky. And like, think about that. Remember when they got upset when Jeffrey Dahmer's story on Netflix was put in the LGBTQ plus category?
Yeah.
A murderous doll is now gay. And I have to check now because I don't know. Is this parody? Is this engagement farming? I don't know. But my first thought is to believe it. And my first thought now is I just laugh because that's all we can do. And I'm working on a video that's going to come out Sunday. And it's been 1 year since the strike. And it's, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a victory lap. It's pointing out like, hey, what every single fan has said in our sphere has come to fruition. We are now there. So now we're picking up the pieces. We're at the picking up the pieces point. There's still going to be bad stuff and, Acolyte and all that stuff, but we're at the picking up the pieces, and things are either going to turn around or fall apart. Not really sure, but it feels like we're getting some more good stuff. And it's okay to talk about that. Right. And it's going to be different. Cause I think we're definitely in, as far as audience appetite, we are definitely in the post woke Hollywood era. We have begun. Now it's a post-apocalypse.
Right.
That's what it is. So we're wandering through a wasteland. But
I was going to ask you if you think like, have we entered post woke? Like Hollywood realizes, okay, this formula doesn't work, and we need to change gears. Otherwise, we're done. Do you think that's where we're at?
Yeah, I think they got there. Like it was financially. That's what motivated them. It wasn't we would love to think that, hey, we just woke up one day and realized, let's try to please the entire audience. Yep. let's not make the enemy of our customer. I would love that to be the motivation, but that wasn't it. They're all falling apart and they're all going broke. And some people will turn things around, and some companies like Disney will never turn things around. Now, like Sony might be buying Paramount, and that's horrible news for Hollywood. That's one studio that gobbled up another studio 20 years ago, Columbia, United Artists, that's going to gobble up another old Hollywood studio, right? And Hollywood's going to be run by companies whose first business is not entertainment pretty soon. That's other than Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much it. So it's just going to be a side hustle. Gaming is a different story. Like gaming is a totally different. That's where the hot, I will say, the hot culture war is still being fought for the foreseeable future.
That's an interesting one, I think, the gaming industry, because much like film takes a while to make. You're looking at like a 2-year, basically cycle from, I guess concept, shooting, editing, and release. Gaming has a much longer period. So this stuff that's in the pipeline, like if this stuff was already in the pipeline before, like there still could be a bunch that's like backed up because they put all this money into it. And then it's like, okay, well, what do we do? Do we completely scrap this project? They have to put it out at this point. And that it's a bummer as a gamer. Like I love RPGs, but some of these have been so painful to try and get through. And most of them I put down, or I'll play 2 hours of them and I'll, within that refund window, and I'll get rid of it. Cause I'm like, I can't do it, man. It's like people talking at me all the time. And I don't like that. I just want to enjoy something, which is, you guys talk about it a lot, I mean, Hollywood did that for years, and we're starting to see the end of that, but yeah, it's too bad because gaming has a much longer development cycle. So the things that are coming out, they've been in the pipeline for so long. So what do we do?
And like a sequel to a game just through Red Dead Redemption, right? Love the first one. So I'm going to talk about 2 games I played. I really liked the second one, but I didn't love it as much as I love the first one.
Yeah,
Just that
I agree.
there's more to do. There's a lot more in it, but I like the first one better. Has more charm to me. Yeah, it's going to be more difficult, but the thankfully there's so much more, like the independent has the fact that it's decentralized, and there's a lot of independent gaming companies out there putting stuff out that you'll get something. I don't know about franchises, but you'll get something that's playable at least once a year. Remember, we used to get like 5 or 10 like decent movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
5 or 10. Now we get 1, 2, maybe. I mean, like I just saw The Fall Guy, right? It's okay, as I told you right before the show.
Yeah,
Very much a chick flick, very much. But it's like it's not bad. It's really irreverent and tongue in cheek. So don't expect anything serious or anything that makes sense. But my theater was empty. So this is a movie that people were actually kind of looking forward to. A lot of positive buzz from the trailer, some positive buzz from reviews, and it was empty theater. Completely empty.
That sucks to me because I was talking about this the other night. I think the brick and mortar experience that we all used to love, and I think COVID was a big reason. Maybe I shouldn't have said that word, but that whole experience like ruined everything because the destination, right? Just like TV shows, the weekly release of TV shows, that was an event. You sat down with your family. I know with me and my dad and my brother, every Friday night, X-Files. Like we're sitting there watching. We can't wait for the new one. Oh, is this going to be a continuation of last week, or is this just Monster of the Week? And even movies, like that was the thing you did. You'd wait for release, game releases, midnight releases. That stuff's not there anymore because, I mean, everything's digital or everything. We can just have it right now, and that's a really unfortunate thing because I think that's what brings people together. This anticipation.
I think that entertainment probably needs to roll back I mean, they can't fully go back. They have to evolve, but I do agree. Like they need to release stuff at the same time. They need to, so we get that shared experience, right? So we still get that shared experience. And the oversaturation has hurt that, but House of the Dragon starts in about a month and a half, and I'm like genuinely excited about that. And after last season 1, I was like, you know what, I really missed firing. I was on the West Coast at the time. At 6 p.m. I'd sit down on Sunday night with me and my friends and my wife, and we watched Game of Thrones, and we had the best time, and I missed that so much. So I'm happy it's back. And I don't think the show would be as popular as it is, and especially making up for the horrible ending to Game of Thrones, if it wasn't like on Sunday night at 9 Eastern. And they're doing it again. And I've gone down such a rabbit hole. And it's like, this is what I used to do with almost everything. It's like when something was coming out, I anticipated it and I reread the comic books, rewatched the movies, listened to a bunch of lore videos, hit up Reddit when it was readable. This a long time ago. And just learn as much as I could. All right, now I'm rereading Fire and Blood, and this is because it's fun. That's what I had it on my audiobook. I was supposed to go to bed early last night. Had fired up the audiobook, stayed up till like 2:33 in the morning. I'm like, oh, next chapter. Like that's what I miss. I think that's what we all miss. And it's still, out there with the older stuff for sure. But that's what we get so upset about. That's what we fight to preserve.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see like how much fandom has had its day as far as like its day in the sun. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm tired of geek chic. I want it to be gone. We need to go back into the niche. Please, normies, be gone.
Right.
It's like, can I just enjoy my hobby again?
Right.
And I think that it's looking that way. So,
well, that kind of like you said, though, it's like, what's interesting is that you can't put the cat back in the bag or whatever. Right.
Yep.
So because everything's so widely available, like that's one of those things where normies are going to get in the way of that fandom, and with shows and anime, if you're into it, all that stuff, which kind of sucks. But and I think you know, the Kotakus and Polygons of the world, they've really like hurt like our enjoyment of things, you know, and how we, I mean, I don't know, like it's just been,
I Access Media Press has been cancer to fandom.
yeah.
When all it needed to be was, hey, we saw this movie early, we'll give you an honest review. Here's this game guide. Here's this review of a comic. Hey, you might not have read this comic. You might like it. Go check it out. That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Then it turned into a bunch of Mean Girls. That's all it was. And activism. You know, and then it because they had so much power before, it infected the corporatism through risk aversion, blah blah blah. And the one thing that everybody forgot about, because guess what, the Access Media, you know who your customer is? Us.
Mm-hmm.
You serve us. They don't see it that way though. They see it as a relationship with the companies, because that's what they are now. They're just mouthpiece for the company, and that's why we fans, I'll use their terminology, created our own space. We created our own space, and you couldn't take it. And now all your power is gone. You can go out there and, you know, the only thing they're now gaslighting so they get some kind of attention. I mean, Alyssa Mercanti, if we just never talked about her again, she'd go away.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, people gas
she
her
makes
up pretty
me
bad.
miss Dylan Mulvaney on my Twitter feed. That's like how much.
You know, I saw someone had posted in there in chat. What shows do you guys recommend? I think this is like one thing I really want to get into with you is that you do spend a lot of time. You're critical of Hollywood, and it's totally warranted. Let's talk about a couple of shows that people can watch that are really good right now. You did mention a couple. Maybe it was pre-show, maybe it was while we were live, but I do think it's important. Yeah.
If you haven't seen The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. I know he's put out a couple of like mediocre movies, but like The Gentleman feels like an old school Guy Ritchie movie, but it's a TV series. Yep. And it's based in the same world as The Gentleman movie, which I liked. I like the series better. And it's just English crime drama, and it's stylistic, and it's got some good music. And hey, one of the bands who had a song in it like watches us, and it's like they're like, oh, we're in episode 5. Yeah. So yeah, it's just good fun. It's good, you know. It's not even super overly violent, but it's just really quick, clever dialogue. Susie Glass, one of the best female characters I've seen in a show in a long time. She's like a human. Mm-hmm. She's a human being in it, which is nice. That's really good. Shogun, I would say, you know, that one's like 9 out of 10 for me. Shogun, like 7 or 8 out of 10. I thought it's like really well made. Like it's the craftsmanship in that is unbelievable. The art direction, the costume, the directing, the set pieces. It is beautiful to look at. Got to read it. It's mostly in Japanese.
Right.
But really good show.
Yeah.
Really good show. Clarkson's Farm. If you're like an old dad like me, that is perfect. That's like old dad. That's like middle-aged dude porn is Clarkson's Farm. It's great. X-Men 97. I've got 2 episodes to go, but it's pretty good. I wouldn't say subscribe to Disney Plus, right, but it's easily the best thing they put on Disney Plus. Easily.
There's a couple of my shows I think you guys should check out. It's not older, but Blue Eye Samurai is insanely good if you haven't watched it. It's funny because it is a female lead, but I think they killed it with how they did her character arc. Really fantastic show. Gary, if you haven't watched it, I would
watch the first half. Animation's unbelievable.
Oh man, it's so good.
It's pretty dope.
The Love, Death, Robots is a really cool sci-fi vignette show on Netflix that I think is really, really interesting. It's not like it has a whole bunch of different stories, but I think if you're looking for something new and original, which is a lot of people are asking for new and original, it's a great show to check out. A lot of them are only 10, 15 minutes long. Season 3, I think it's episode 2, Bad Traveling, is one of my favorite episodes of any TV show. It's so good. And then, oh man, I'm trying to think of what Oh, this is a really old one, but I feel like some people haven't watched it. Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is
Twin
like,
Peaks is amazing.
yeah, like if you haven't watched that show and
The
you're younger,
original.
maybe. Yeah, the original, not the
The
new.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twin Peaks is awesome. And I'm actually gonna go rewatch it because I saw Mark the Cyborg's rewatching it. So I kind of want to check it out again and talk about it with him. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that people we just think there's so much stuff to revisit, but there's also a lot of good stuff that's sort of like cycling through right now. And it's that's where I want to see like a lot of these like fellowship pockets like start like talking about is like what can we do and celebrate in Hollywood right now, because that's also important to get people excited about the movies or get excited about a show that's coming out, not necessarily the doom and gloom part of it, which you gotta know what's bad out there. That's important. We got to know the news. We got to know, but we also need to know the good parts. And I think there's just as much good, well, maybe not just as much good stuff. We're getting back to a reasonable cycle of good content.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm always gonna like, and I always have. I'm always gonna take the piss out of bad stuff. I mean, that's just kind of it's fun, and it's not something I invented or anybody else. It's been going. This goes back to when they invented movies. We take the piss out of bad stuff. I would just like for it to be more like the Madam Web style, which is just bad, instead of like, yeah, like, identity politics, the foundation of saying that, that built woke Hollywood that's falling apart. Yeah, I think we're all sick to death of it. And we're still going to get, we just got the American Society of Magical Negroes, like really hateful, terrible movie. And it didn't make any money. And that's the world healing. Yeah. But it's going to be tough this year because there's not a lot coming out. There just isn't. I think, honestly, there'll be more interesting conversations in streaming. It'll be interesting in June when we have the Acolyte up against House of the Dragon, because the House of the Dragon, if they do it like season 1, it'll probably be a love fest for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rewatching season 1 and I like it more every time. I was like really standoffish when it came out. As a matter of fact, I talked to Mahler. I'm like, hey, let's just on a whim, we're like, let's watch the first episode and see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll probably dip out. It'll probably suck. And that didn't happen. Yeah, like when something's good, we'll tell you something's good. There are things to look forward to. Of course, War of the Rohirrim, absolutely excited about that. Rings of Power, I'm excited about that for completely different reasons. But hopefully there's something that comes out that surprises everybody. Godzilla -1. I think Godzilla fans were excited. We're like, hey, cool, this looks cool. But I didn't ever think it would be as good as it was. So that's why I still love this stuff. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year. When it gets towards the end of the year and politics sucks all the oxygen out of the room, I'll be over with my alternative programming talking about whatever show is out while that gets figured out, but because election years are always fun. And of course the Adult Pretenders will come out and probably be the most unintentionally entertaining thing by being so stupid. And that'll happen towards the primaries. But when something's good, we'll tell you, we'll absolutely celebrate it. And the problem is we haven't gotten that much good. And like this year is if it wasn't for Dune, it would be catastrophic. And Dune is not like $1 billion movie,
right?
But it's like the really only that and Kung Fu Panda 4 are the only ones that are really hits this year, and we are starting the 5th month of the year, so that's bad. There's more entertaining stuff on streaming. But no, you know where the positive thing is?
Yeah, where?
It's with the fans. It's with us. It's the stuff it's stuff you guys are making, doing your live streams, having fun. That's my go-to. If you're streaming, I'm probably watching. I do a lot of downtime where I just watch YouTube and watch you guys. Because for one, I think it's really important for a content creator to watch a shit ton of YouTube.
Yeah.
all kinds of different YouTube, but really important to watch the streams because then we get to hear what you're saying.
Yep.
And some of you guys are criminally undersubbed. And that's just the landscape of YouTube, but you're having a good time, making a lot of good points, reading the chat, and I think it's really important. It keeps your finger on the pulse, right?
It does. Like it's hard. Like, so stream like today, it's hard to keep up with chat, but I try and see what I see what you guys are saying. I do keep an eye on it, but I'm also trying to listen to what you're saying, Gary. And I try and, keep like everything balanced. And I do it's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, live streaming from the day I started back in 2014 on Twitch, like I knew live streaming was my thing. I like talking. I like off the cuff. I like just interacting with people. Really, the dream is to sit in studio with people. Like I want to sit in the studio. I want to bring people to me, or I want to find people locally and sit across from them. I think it's so important. And this is why I say to people, go to these meetups, do everything you can to get to these meetups, not necessarily just to meet you guys, but to get out and see the world, interact with people. These are interacting and talking with people is like lifting weights. It's working muscles that you don't always use. It's we just need these skills to like interact with one another. And I just think it's, for many reasons, the sun touching grass, however you want to put it, it's just great to be. And yeah, you're right. There's so many good creators on YouTube, and I watch people all the time. Some of my friends, I just think, how do you not have more subs? You're entertaining. You make great content. There's good clips here. And it's just, I mean, I know that YouTube doesn't favor live streams, which really sucks. But, I honestly, as long as I'm sitting here and even if I'm sitting talking to myself, sometimes I'll do streams in my car while I'm driving from like one job site to another. And I call it conversations. And I'll pick, like, one day I was like, is God real? And I just went and like
That's
brain
great.
dumped, you know what I mean? And people can come in, and I had a bunch of people like really ask me questions on stuff. I'm like, this is what it's all about. Getting people talking, and and I've had people who are atheists be like, nah, it's all BS. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe.
I'd love to be that sure of something.
I know, right?
That must be nice to be that sure of something. I'm not sure about anything. No, you're right. Somebody in the chat, they might be trolling, but they say learn a skill. You can, yes, learn a skill, learn a trade. Absolutely. By the way, a lot of skills you can do while listening to YouTube. So there's a lot of things you can do while listening, but absolutely learn something to fall back on. It's very nice to know that if this goes away tomorrow, there's one of 3 careers I can just go back to whenever I want, because I learned multiple skills over my life. Because I remember when I had none and how bleak everything looked, but like I have no marketable skills. None at all. So I went out and learned them. And it was really important, just in case the rug gets pulled out from you. Yeah. Or pissed on. Really brought the room together.
Really tied the room together, did it?
Tied the room together. Yeah.
Leftoid says watching YouTube not less than reading a book, or reading a book's great. Yeah, I agree. I think we said it already. There's a balance that needs to be struck, for sure. Read a book. I have 2 books. Well, I have Dune I'm re-listening to on audiobook. And I have Gene Wolfe's book that I'm reading right now, the first half. I never remember the title of it. But it's so good. But I'm reading that one in real, like actually reading the book, and then I'm listening to the audiobook. But if I'm sitting here, if I'm like editing something, or if I'm playing a game, like I'll have YouTube on and I'll be listening to someone talk about whatever, FNT is on, or whatever it is that I'm doing. Like I try and do a little bit of everything, because like you said, I want to know more. Like I just have this thirst for knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I was just listening to the trigonometry guys on Joe Rogan's show. It was a fantastic episode. Those guys are brilliant. I was just listening to that, and before that I listened to the Graham Hancock debate with what is his name, Tibble or
Fibble Tibble
Bibble, yeah.
Tiddlywinks.
Oh man, that was hard to listen to.
Fink
But
I just he just blocked a friend of mine on Twitter. Like, he's awful. Graham destroyed him. Graham absolutely destroyed him. And I remember Graham's debate with Michael Shermer, and I felt like Graham like lost his cool on that one and kind of lost that debate, which he shouldn't have, because Michael Shermer's a retard. But no, Graham kept his cool, like, and never really went after that guy. Like, he's all, listen, I'm just asking different questions. That's all I'm doing. I'm making observations. And oh, by the way, unlike you, I've been to all these places. And then that guy tried to say, that's my favorite part. He's like, that doesn't make a difference. It's like, yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Absolutely. It actually does. And it's not like Graham has been there once on a tour group. Graham's been there like 10 times. Like, we're talking about Saxy Woman. Yeah. So, there's Christopher, Dunn was just on with Joe Rogan. It's very dry, but I highly recommend that one, because that's the guy who has the Giza power plant book.
Okay.
And how he thinks the pyramids were used to harvest electrons, basically a generator, right? Really, I mean, again, they get into the weeds and it's very dry, but man, the information on is great. It's
Those
great.
are crazy. Eric V, it was, so I just looked it up. Flint Dibble and Graham, Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock, they did a debate. Flint's an archaeologist with a background, I think, in he studies plant archaeology,
plant matter, and it specializes in like Greek archaeology in a certain time frame. So it's like super specialized. Still awesome that he knows all that stuff, but
and the stuff he did, the stuff when he was like telling like how they look at seeds and stuff like that was totally cool. And I was like, oh, that's cool knowledge. But well, I mean, he made himself look like an idiot, but yeah, it was a pretty rough 4.5 hours to listen to them. I mean, it was good and informational, but Graham, I think, served him up pretty well, and just said, hey man, like, I just think you're wrong. I think that, I never said any of what you're saying. I just think there's a way more that can be done in archaeology. Big archaeology is just pushing this all to the side.
Well, and then calling him a white supremacist. I mean, that's when you lose the argument. And it's like, oh, it's this. Wow, that sounds familiar.
Yep.
We don't like your opinion. Yeah, and that's when you know you're over the mark. And again, nobody thinks Graham has all the answers at all. Graham doesn't think it. I don't think it. I just think he's asking very good questions that we haven't gotten answers to yet, right? Because there's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense about our ancient past, like, at all.
Wasn't it wild? Like just to think of how much time there has been, right? There was that Siberian tiger that was dug up that was like 27,000 years old or something like that, was perfectly preserved. Like, just think, and then the guy that was in the mountains there in the Alps that they found, like with the arrow in the back of his, like in his shoulder blade, like, this is all tens of thousands of years old. Just think of, like, it's totally possible that these things could be, like, we could have had a civilization completely erased, and then something built on top of it. But the human mind can't wrap its head around like the scale of time that we're talking about. There's a thing out there that says Cleopatra is closer to the invention of the iPhone than she was to the
pyramids.
The pyramids.
The construction of the academic date for the construction of the pyramids.
Right.
Yes, and we're finding out more and more that the form of human that we are is, at first it was 90,000 years old, 100,000 years old. Now it's looking more like 300 to 400,000 years old. They find the Denisovans in Siberia through just a tooth. Completely different species of human. That's kind of looks like a Neanderthal. There's the hobbits down in Micronesia. I think that's where they felt, like around the Philippines or whatever. And then there's a bunch of species we probably never found and never will, because humans have to die a certain way to be found. It's really difficult to be fossilized. Your bones laying out are going to get picked apart. So There's the Clovis people who lived in America prior to the Native Americans who live here today, all wiped out. We think we know where some of their bodies are, but we've never dug them up because of the new laws. And we found their tools. We found tons of evidence that they are around, but we haven't found them yet. So there's no way. The thing Graham was talking about the most was, you can't say you definitely know. You just can't.
Yeah.
There are so many megaliths that are constructed and carved very similarly across the world that are supposed to be thousands of years apart, right? Mm-hmm. They all have basically the arms down to the side and it's going to their belt buckle, right? That's in it's in Asia, it's in Easter Island, it's in Turkey, it's in South America, it's on every freaking continent. It's in Greece, and they all have a very cone nose. That's in Australia. There's too many similarities. There's the megalithic blocks, there's the polygonal stones, there's the key cuts, and there's pyramids all around the world. Right. So there was something, and it could very easily have been completely wiped out in a cataclysm or whatever. That would preserve some parts, because like one of the things they fight back on is, well, what happened to Africa? Well, maybe Africa was just spared,
right?
Because there's elephants in Africa and India. Well, there used to be 4 species here in America, and they all died right around the same time, 12,000 years ago. Right. Well, what happened? Oh, by the way, all the saber-tooth tiger died. All the short-faced bears died. All the dire wolves died. And these aren't things humans normally hunt, by the way. Like mammoths, okay, they're eating mammoths. They're not eating short-faced bears. Right. Good luck with that, But and by the way, they're outnumbered. That like with this megafauna, they're outnumbered 100 to 1, easily.
Yep.
And there's just too many. We don't know what the answers are, and they're digging up through lidar. They're finding out there was huge cities in the Amazon jungle. Follow a guy named Luke Caverns. He's really good. He's this kid in San Antonio. He's just starting out with a channel, but he goes down there and finds lost cities in the jungle. It's really freaking cool. There's so many cool things happening in it. And archaeology's pissed just because of that Netflix special from Graham. One Netflix special. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years and they've been kind of critical, but man, he gets on Netflix, man, they lose their minds. Wow.
Yeah, they wanted to, and I didn't know this, but he talked about how archaeology was trying, or someone within archaeology was trying to get his show relabeled as science fiction. Like, bro, like really, like, and just that and that's what I mean, and that's what his point was. Like, you're coming after me as this is pseudoscience. Like, I am asking questions. I am asking science to go forth and dig more, like explore the Amazon more. 1% of the Amazon, and you're just like, oh nope, nothing here.
We figured it out.
Yeah. And like I remember him showing in Ancient Apocalypse all like that lidar that they used to like pick up some of the buildings in there. Wild, dude. Like, I mean, totally, there's so much. And I'm not saying, I want people to go in there and knock down all the forest, but geez, like if we can,
don't need to. No.
Right. And if you can, like, let's see what's in there. Let's go explore those buildings. I don't think anyone cares if they're 50,000 years old or 10,000 years old. We want to know what happened to these places because they're completely buried. Like you would never know that they were there.
Never know. People were walking over them for years. Mm-hmm. And he brings up the Sahara too. It's like, what's under all that sand? That's a new desert. That's a 5,000-year-old desert minimum, which is insane. But actually the science with that one is crazy. Every 15,000 years, it becomes green, then it becomes desert again. And there's a little wobble that happens to the earth every 15,000 years. There's something in the spin that makes it just go boop. It's freaking bizarre. And it's the cool thing is it shows that there's, I think we all love a mystery, right? And it also, where it merges with everything. It's not just, it's culture, the culture war, we'll put in quotes. Mm-hmm. It's culture. It's happening over in this little stupid hobby that I used to have in ancient civilizations and UFOs and conspiracy theories. The same shit's happening. Believe it or not, some people in conspiracy theories went woke. which is uneffing believable, and started believing the man. And it's like, dude, like my whole life, I was taught. I mean, I'm Gen X. Everything you were told is a lie. Everything's a conspiracy. It's like, yes, I love it. And all of a sudden they're going to that side. So seeing Graham called a white supremacist and seeing them trying to break narratives is what we're all trying to do, because we all seek the truth and authenticity in whatever field, and with Graham or what we're doing, I don't give a shit what the truth is. I just want the truth.
Yeah.
I'll deal with the truth instead of your lies,
for sure.
or narratives or spin. So it's good to see a lot of people fighting back, and because of Joe Rogan and Randall and Graham, there's a bunch of young people coming into this field that's gonna keep it going, and it's making it, and it's really fun. It's really it's my passion project. I do that, Forbidden Frontier.
Yeah,
freaking love that show to death. I love doing that show.
Well, that's what I like, those kind of shows by people like you and like this, like independent creators, like doing that stuff, I think is so important, because you're bringing people into that hobby. You're bringing that people into your thing that you love the most. So obviously people see how much you care about it and how much you like it. And like, man, this guy has a real passion for this. Oh man, this is like some really cool stuff he's talking about. I want to go look into it. Skinwalker Ranch. Oh, like here, there's a bunch of TV shows on that. It's actually not far from where I live. So I'm up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
This last episode was really pretty freaking good too. Like one of the best episodes they've had in a long time. So
I heard. I haven't watched. I haven't watched it, but yeah, I heard.
Yeah, definitely watch it. Like it is the best Skinwalker Ranch episode since season 2. Like I've always enjoyed it, but this one was a banger. Yeah,
like I hope more people talk about this stuff. I hope more people get into, I think healthy questioning of the narratives, if we want to put it that way, like it's totally, I think it's healthy. I think people asking like, hey, what is this? And then like a fair exchange of ideas, like, because the thing with that debate with Graham was, had he not done the personal attack on Twitter and then allowed people to publish that quote over and over again, there probably would have been a much better discussion and a better faith, arguments happening. But it just goes out the window at that point.
It did at that point. And like there were parts where it was a very good, just solid debate where they were exchanging ideas, and there was some brief moments where they weren't crapping on each other, and they're like, hey, that's interesting. Hey, that's interesting. And he's even making suggestions to Joel, like, hey, try this next time you go out. That's what a debate's supposed to be.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to agree on everything. And but it was the fact that it went viral, the fact that it got Graham's message out there more, I'm fine with that. I'm good. I'm sure he is too.
Totally. Yeah, no, it was a really great, and at first I was like, man, 4.5 hours, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a big commitment.
But it went pretty damn fast. Like I was surprised, like all of a sudden it was I think it was like 3.5 hours. Holy shit, this thing's almost over. Like I want more.
Joe Rogan is stupid good at what he does. So the art, if you want to call it the art, it's the talent, the art, whatever, of podcasting. Like he is Elvis of podcasting. He is the Beatles of podcasting. Like the way he keeps the conversation flowing, he keeps his cool. Great moderator, great interviewer. Genuinely interested in his subjects that he talks about, has a conversation with them, and it's not just peppering them with questions. He is the best.
I've taken note of that, especially over the last, because I took a break from listening to him for a bit, and then recently I've just been kind of going back and listening to a lot of the people I want to catch up on, some older episodes, and I just noticed like how he just makes people feel comfortable, and I think part of that is being in studio with them, being able to share that moment, making them feel, oh, you want some bourbon, give them like what they need in order to just like loosen up. And it's hard to get that over a camera, like
it is,
but I listened to him in all of these interviews and I think brilliant. That transition to the new subject, brilliant. His little comedy bit or whatever. Sometimes there's dead air that's kind of weird. I think that's more on the guest than him, but I mean, 99% of the time, it's so good, and he doesn't even like and ah the whole time.
No, no.
He's
Yeah, my only complaint is like, and when he gets too baked for an episode, because that
yeah,
happens once in a while, and you could just,
yeah.
it's like, I can only handle so much of that. But
Right.
no, I was looking at the chat. I don't think he's controlled op.
No.
He's rich beyond his wildest dreams. He lives in Texas now. He owns a little compound, owns his own studio. I would love to be in the position of, hey, I could fly a guest to my house and interview him on this table.
Right.
Not there.
Right.
So,
It'll be
but
a bit.
no, I think he's a good moderate voice. I cannot believe people think that guy's like some kind of alt-right. Like he's a very moderate voice.
Yeah.
And I think it's good, and now we've seen Tucker, like or hate Tucker, man, with his shackles off. It is really interesting to see somebody from the corporate world, and like Tucker used to be like neocon,
Yeah.
freaking neocon. See him go out there and start getting into UFOs and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I think.
What did you think of his take on evolution? What did you think of that?
What was his take on evolution?
That like, I think it was like, evolution doesn't exist. Like the Darwinist evolutionary theory doesn't exist or whatever. And it was, and I think I kind of got what he was saying. I think Brett Weinstein sort of like clarified a bit, but I thought that made him look a little silly.
Yeah, I think what species are we talking about? Like just overall or the human species?
No, overall.
Okay, yeah. Overall evolution is absolutely a thing. Like without a doubt. We've seen dinosaurs are surrounding us right now.
Well,
they're little birdies.
Real quick. Let me clarify what he said. It just came to me. He said there's no direct evidence that like humans evolved from there's no There's no direct evidence, genetic or evidence that we evolved from like single cell organisms or whatever. And I was just like, ooh, I think there is, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't. Well, you don't even want to know what I think, but
yes, I do. That's why you're here, Gary.
I think we were manipulated. I think we were absolutely manipulated.
Really? Like Prometheus shit, like engineers?
Yeah. There's too many things about us that don't make sense. There's a massive missing link in the evolutionary scale. There's also tons of hominids and humanoids out there that just didn't fucking make it. Why? Some of them were smarter than us. Some of them were bigger and smarter than us. How did we survive? They just found, like, they're finding new stuff all the time, and I forgot the name of the hominid, but they're basically a human the size of a chimp with the brain the size of a chimp. And it's called Cave of Bones. Watch the documentary on Netflix. It's unfucking believable. These little human chimps, basically, they were hominids. There's a name for them. Ritualistically buried their dead.
Whoa.
Like put them into fetal positions with reverence, put their favorite tools in their hands. There was ritual. There was marking their graves and burying them in this insane cave. And this is not anything connected to us. Anything. So that means that changes everything, by the way. So that means consciousness isn't exclusive to us. That means spirituality, we aren't the first ones to have it, obviously. So, and where does that come from? Where does consciousness come from? What triggered something in our brain? And not just us as a species, hundreds of thousands of years to go, man, we need to. Some dude woke up, scratched his ass in a loincloth and said, I'm going to build a megalith and then learn how to farm. Because that's pretty much what happened overnight. So, and I don't believe that, by the way. I don't believe we just did that overnight. I think it's something we've built up over long. And yeah, I think, and there's some weird stuff about us, back pain. We don't seem very conducive to this planet. When every other species is really conducive. That's where the evolution comes in. A lot of species are conducive to their environment. They're programmed.
We adapt our environment to us.
We adapt our environment to us. Now, probably going to be a scientific explanation, but there is a lot of very strange things about humans, or we came from Mars after it after it lost its atmosphere.
Bro, well, now I need some weed.
I told you I got wild ideas. I don't freaking know where we came from. But like evolution's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. There's so much evidence for that. Now, can Weinstein come out and say for a fact we evolved from the well, of course not. Nobody can say that. We'll never know that. There's been 5 massive extinctions, including one where damn near everything died.
Yeah.
Damn near everything died. Or it's been a snowball a couple of times. The weirdest one, Earth, has been Dagobah. It's had a variance of just a couple of degrees pole to pole because it was under a canopy and it was just moist and hot. And yeah, like, so it's pretty, like, we don't know what we think we know what's in the core. But we don't know. Deepest we've ever dug down is 8 miles. And I think that was the Russians.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I think they try to build they've done a lot of great work to figure, and they're still finding out. Oh, the latest one. Luke Caverns did a video on this. This is mind-blowing. This is as mind-blowing as the weird hominid ritualistically burying its dead. When I saw that on like that, not much blows my mind, but like, holy shit. Oh, by the way, did I tell you how old they were? 250,000 years.
Wait,
250,000 years ago they were doing this, ritualistically burying their dead.
So that's like dead. The carbon dating of
that's the carbon dating. So let's go back further. Let's go back 450,000 years, almost 500,000 years. They found a wooden structure, a hall that was constructed and built that is 450,000 years old. That's fucking impossible. But it's not, because it exists. It's in Africa and it's not super far. A lot of this stuff is being found in South Africa because that's some of the oldest land on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was recently discovered in the last year. So they need to find more of it. But they found, it was a constructed structure the size of a hall, like a long hall.
Mm-hmm.
Before humans were even a thing. Dude. So it's crazy. It's crazy, the new stuff they're finding, and as the technology gets better, and I love it. I freaking love it. I love science getting flipped on its back, and we all have to rediscover the mysteries of the universe. I think that's great.
Well, just like, I mean, and the other thing too, I guess, like to your point of like us being maybe not from this planet, right? Like we're just like maybe some science experiment for extraterrestrials. I mean, you just think of how complex our anatomy is, the nervous system, muscular system, circulatory system, and all this stuff, and how it works in tandem. I mean, granted, every piece of life is pretty complicated, but just, I think humans alone, and then how I think the nervous system in and of itself, between the brain and our subconscious, is, I don't know, man. Maybe the complexity of that is feeding into our own imagination about it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, what if we're in simulation theory, or what if we are just biological AI, self-replicating biological AI that was just created? We're just machines.
Now I'm depressed.
This kind of thing when you drop too much acid, you think about. But you know what if that's what we are? If you go back and look at ancient Sumeria, the Anunnaki, they talk about coming down and creating humans, creating these slaves, creating and they have weird pictures of like dogs with human heads. They have a lot of the anthropomorphic stuff that could be just art and abstract art for the first civilization. And it's carved pretty well on granite, like really well on granite, like
perfect,
like bronze tools and other rocks, but it's perfect. It's weird. Yeah. And look at the history of that. And that's where, the I can't think of the name of it, but the symbol for DNA, the
the
medical
double helix.
symbol, both of those, the helix, yeah. Those designs are in carvings in Egypt and in Mesopotamia.
What?
Yeah. So how the fuck did they know? They knew brain surgery. How did they know math? How did they know the math to build the pyramids and then have them aligned to Orion? How does, like every ancient site, and I mean every single fucking one, it has some sort of alignment to the stars. Well, how do you do that?
Well,
How do you do that without math?
Well, and I do think that, and this is where the resilience of humans, I think, might come into play, because I do think there must be some sort of, like, because there's so much time. You know what I mean? Like there's no you, like, all this stuff can be done given enough time, right? But the question is, how long do these things take to construct? Are we talking generations to carve the Sphinx? Are we talking, you know what I mean? Like what are we thinking? Because everything I know is that you have machines now, laser cutters that do this thing, and it could probably do it in probably weeks, right? But then the other question is, why haven't we replicated this? We know, like the cement in the Sistine Chapel, we know like how it's different and why it's better than the cement that we use now. Why are we not creating these things?
Bingo. That's your question.
And that to me is wild. Like, did we forget?
Could we make the Pyramid of Giza today? Could we make it? Could human beings make it? It would be very tough. I think the answer is yes. It would cost billions. It would take lots of labor, lots of machinery. And the question is, we still might not be able to do it. So
why did these people actually make it, though?
Why did they make it? And why don't we make structures out of just complete stone like this? Because they obviously last for 1,000 years, be a really good idea. Well, because it's really fucking hard. So why did ancient man in their loincloths and barefoot do the hardest thing? Right. The absolute hardest thing.
Yeah, like there's nothing harder than what they did. And now we're sitting here like scratching our ass like how'd they do it tomorrow, bro?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And like, don't give me this, well, they poured water in it and used bronze tools to slowly saw it. Well, then, okay, then we're talking generations to build that stuff, which could be the answer. But that's not the answer to the pyramids. According to the archaeologists, they were built in 20 years. That's impossible.
And then
with the technology they had, that's literally impossible.
I don't even know the name of it, but there's that method of like, layering stone that makes it like insanely strong. Like there's no gaps like in the crevices, like
polygonal stones.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, those had to be. One of the theories is they were softened somehow. There's some chemical that they have that basically made them into like marshmallow, and they could mold them, and that's why they look so smooth, and like puffy. And they have the little nubs. They all have nubs. By the way, that's another thing that you get all around the world is those nubs. And it's not to lift the stone for whatever they are. We don't know what their use was. But yeah, just if you're new to this subject, search polygonal walls around the world and search one in Turkey, search one in Greece, search one in Peru, Sacsayhuaman, search one in Japan, and search one in China. And notice how much they look not exactly alike, but it's the same kind of construction, like the exact same.
That's it right there. If these places are separated by so many thousands of miles, how, like, is it the natural way that humans would have progressed to build, or is someone bringing this technology? Because this is technology for people like this, according to our history, in some other fashion, some anti-gravity craft, whatever it is, and then poof, they're gone because they did it, or they were wiped out by some cataclysm and they couldn't go. Now, there is some truth to what Dipple said. Like if there was like some grand technology civilization, we should see remnants of that. So to his point there, I do see Like,
yes, if it's like ours, if it
right.
was a civilization like ours, there should have been. It was not a civilization like ours. They didn't produce plastics. They didn't use leverage. They didn't drive cars. They probably didn't even build roads. They were an advanced civilization as far as maybe they had. They were advanced mentally
Mhm.
and in society as much as maybe the Romans. Maybe the Romans. So they were capable of mapping the earth and sailing. But I think, and Graham thinks that they were way more in tune with the earth.
Right.
So they weren't building giant cities and mowing down forests. No, they were, their city states would be like I just saw on Clarkson's farm. If they're growing, there's this type of farming you can do that it's not just wiping out a field and building one or growing one thing. It's you mix in beans with wheat. So because nature doesn't have one plant usually taking over, you mix this. So that's the kind of stuff they did. They were just way more in tune with earth. That's like who figured out ayahuasca? Joe loves to talk about ayahuasca. It's his favorite thing in the world.
Yep.
Well, it's a leaf that you have to ground up and boil, but it doesn't do any good because the enzyme in your stomach completely wipes out the high effect you get from it. So you have to find another branch or some bark from a completely other plant to go in there to give you that high. Well, who figured that out? With 150,000 plant species in the Amazon jungle, who was the guy who did the testing on that? How did you figure out? So I'm thinking, hey, maybe the same way they were able to soften stone, and maybe it made the stones lighter or something. They found some weird combination of plant chemicals that did that.
Well,
That's science. That's a
Yeah.
totally different kind of science, but it's science.
Well, and we know too, like that the old cement from like the Sistine Chapel or whatever is it's like it's self-healing, they call it. Like it's a self-healing cement. So if there's a crack in it over time, I think with like weather and everything, it will actually repair itself. Like, hello, why aren't we using this? Like, yes, it's expensive, I understand it, but again, like, and I think between, you know, the ayahuasca plant and maybe these megalithic structures, there was nothing else to do, right? There is no PlayStation 5. There is no TV shows to watch. The only purpose you have is to like, well, how do I make my life easier?
Yes.
Well, I'm not feeling good, so I'm gonna go find a plant that maybe I can like burn. Like, and maybe it was just totally luck, you know?
It could have been like DMT is kind of everywhere. So they think Joe Rogan talked about it. They think the burning bush might have been DMT, whatever. And a lot of stuff like who invented bread, who invented beer, where did these things come from? Because somebody had to come up with it. And you know, we're clever.
Yeah.
And I think boredom is an explanation. That was definitely the one in Easter Island. But I would argue that if you're in a hunter-gatherer tribe, your entire day is spent on getting the food, preparing the food, eating the food, making sure everybody's safe to go find the food tomorrow, because that's your life. That's your life. So you don't have downtime or surplus. What you need is a surplus so people have enough downtime so they can acquire skills to where they can start thinking about things like farming and building. So through archaeology, like one hunter-gatherer tribe probably joined up with another and joined up with another, and they had, hey, we pool our resources. We're now getting more food. We now have more time to think about things, so we can start thinking about things like building and growing stuff. Hey, man, plants grow. We could eat some of those plants. We should grow them. That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But like things like Göbekli Tepe just come out of nowhere. Like it's hunter-gatherers for hundreds of thousands of years, and then we're carving in relief,
Right.
in the abstract.
Yeah.
You know, by the way, abstract art is something you have to evolve to get to, you know, if you don't know. In the abstract. So that's it's nuts, and it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And I've talked to people who've been there, and they're like, you know, the minimum date on it's 12,000 years. They say it's way older, like way older.
Really? Yeah, man. This stuff, like I could talk to you all day about this
Yeah.
stuff
I
because
could
it's
too.
like
Sorry.
no, you're dude, totally, you're fine. The I recently did hear about your obsession with Clarkson's Farm. How did that come? Was it just by luck that you like stumbled upon this and then were like, oh my God, like this is amazing. I need to watch it. Like what? How
Uh,
did that whole thing? Are
Huge
you
fan of Top Gear. So,
okay?
not a gear head, but I worked in the auto industry for a long time.
Okay.
Long time before comics and after comics. So I watched a ton of, I like British TV too. So Top Gear was a good mesh of it. So I'm a big fan of Top Gear. Then I followed Jeremy, James, and why am I blanking on his name? God, I hate getting old. Followed him over to Grand Tour.
Okay.
And then, I knew Clarkson Farm was out, but I just hadn't thought about it. And Mahler told me, dude, it's really good. You got to go see it. And I watched it and was instant, and like me and the wife watched it, instantly obsessed with this show. And it's Jeremy Clarkson, who's an international treasure. Hammond, yeah, god dang it. See, that's what happens when you get old, Sam, man. It's like I know James Hammond. I watch him all the time. I rewatch Top Gear all the time. Name flies right out of my head. It sucks getting old. So yeah, I don't know why it took so much time to watch it. I think it was the move and everything, because that was when I was moving. So like sat down and we watched the entire thing in a day. And it's a nature show. It is Jeremy Clarkson, the world's best presenter and biggest idiot, decided I'm going to farm. I've never done it, so let's do it. And it's his misadventures, but also you see the horror of bureaucracy and how the farmers are treated in England, which is, I mean, they're treated pretty bad here, but it's nothing compared to England. I don't know why anybody would even bother in England. They have to completely survive on subsidies. They're regulated to fucking death. So it really exposes the evils of a bureaucratic government, and also the horrible egos of a town council that's just full of shit, that just hates him because he's famous, right? But he's also bringing a ton of attention to farming, how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the Dutch farmers and everything going on right now, it's kind of cool that he's doing, but it's also really funny. It's a really funny show.
Yeah.
So I freaking love it.
Yeah, and you recently went in, like when you guys were in the UK, you went there. And
I went there. Yeah,
that's cool.
Me and Shad signed. You could sign the wall in there. Me and Shad signed the wall. Got some food there. Got some T-shirts. Hung out with Az's brother-in-law and X-Ray Girl and the ladies, and it was tons of fun. Can't wait to go back. And the food is good there. The chutney is good, and their crisps are the best. You can order them online, by the way.
I was saying to my brother-in-law the other day, I was like, I really just want to go to like Scotland and like the UK and like it just, I mean, it just seems like such a cool place to go, drab and maybe like in rainy or whatever, but like that just like to me on a vacation would just be like, oh, this is awesome. Just like chill. I can be inside, drink a beer. Like it just sounds great. And there's just so much history, it's just so much to see. And
dude, it's gorgeous up there. I mean, avoid London, but going up to Oxford, and I visited Tolkien's grave, and dude, everything about that was freaking cool. Got to visit go up to the north for the first time and check out just like last couple times, first 2 times I went to UK, I was just in London. So this is the first proper time I got to like see the country, and it's beautiful. Like I'll never go back to London now. Screw London. I'm just going to do the countryside. So,
well, for a long time, I was like big. I love cities for a long time. I grew up in the Northeast, so we'd go to New York City occasionally, Boston. Like being from Connecticut, I could bounce between the cities pretty easily. But the older I get, the more, because I grew up in rural Connecticut essentially, and the older I get, the more I just want to get back to that like rural, have my plot of land, be like away from people a little bit. If for no other reason too, like if the world ended tomorrow, I don't want to be around a bunch of people that are just
you don't.
You
don't. I got a good hint of that when I was in San Francisco and the Summer of Love was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about defund the police, and I saw rule of law like disappear overnight. It was never great there, but the stuff you're seeing now literally started overnight. Like
Wow.
overnight. Like cops stopped busting people, and it was in 2020. And I'm like, wow. I never worried about myself, even walking through like the Tenderloin, which I've done on my way back from work, walking through 6th Street, at night, coming back from a movie and stuff. I never feared for my life for anything, never got scared. I kept my head in a swivel, but I didn't worry about it. And then, like, dude, it started getting worrisome walking in our own neighborhood. Not that it was like we were in the nicest neighborhood, we were like a very outer Mission neighborhood in San Francisco. That was right below, like overlooked the Mission, which is just crime infested fucking horror show. But good Mexican food. Yeah. So I saw that just go downhill overnight. And once that in the combination with my wife, like, wasn't allowed to go back to work, and then if we were going to have to go back to work, we had to play by San Francisco's like equitable rules. We're like, fuck this place, we're out of here. And I was there when there was rioting in San Francisco, and it was going into like the neighborhoods. It just wasn't in the city. They started marching up and down the Sunset. They started going to they went to the nice neighborhoods, the bad neighborhoods. Oh, they didn't care. They started fucking up businesses and stuff. I'm like, screw this.
It's wild. Like, cause the whole defund the police thing really turned me off. And I know police isn't perfect. There's plenty of examples of police being shitheads, but my mom was a state cop growing up, and like seeing people disrespect like people who really like not every cop is laying their life on the line. Some are desk jockeys. So, like I said, some are total idiots. But those, you don't realize, like, depending on where you're working, especially in some of these cities, they're in danger. People don't trust the police, and they will act quickly to defend their lives, and the police are taught to defend their lives. And anyone who has any sort of training with a weapon knows that you aim for center mass. You don't go for the leg. You don't go for the arm.
You can't.
Like, my mom wanted to come home every night to her kids. My mom worked narcotics for 2 years. 3 years. Like, she was undercover. Like, it's not a easy thing. And to say like, oh, defund the police, send a fucking therapist there. You have no idea what you're talking about.
That's just not reality. Exactly. Like, I am not the biggest fan of the cops. I'm just not. I saw their act during COVID, and that's about the, I mean, there's some good ones and some bad ones.
Yeah.
But you're arresting somebody on a beach for going to a beach. You're a bad fuking cop. Period.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about anything. You're just a bad cop. But you're right. There's no alternative. It's like we're not in a fucking fantasy world. Okay. There is no alternative. You do need cops. Absolutely. I wish we didn't, but you need them. You also need to enforce laws on the books and not create new ones and crazy ones. Just enforce laws on the books.
Right.
And you just gotta, at this point, it's Stockholm syndrome. Living in the Bay Area as an outsider, I grew up in Southern California, which is a completely different world. Living in the Bay Area for almost 20 years, they have Stockholm syndrome. They fear the Republicans so much, when there is no chance in hell of a Republican taking power anywhere over them in Oakland, Richmond, Marin County, San Rafael, San Francisco, Daly City. That was fucking Armageddon will happen first. But they still roll that out there.
Yeah.
Right. So it gets more and more liberal and shittier, and they just refuse to go, maybe we need to flip this thing on, over just once.
Yeah.
No, it's when the Democrat policy, the policy that they've been following for decades, like, I'm just watching this shit, by the way, fails too much. Then the Democrats come in, okay, we're about law and order for like 5 minutes. We'll clean up these streets. Well, we saw them clean up the streets of San Francisco overnight for China.
Yeah.
Like that gets underreported. If I was still there, I would be so furious. I would be so effing furious that you managed to clean it up overnight. So you can do it. Okay. I forgot his name. There's a great guy to follow on Twitter. He is a sober guy, ex-con like me. I think he works in a halfway house, and all he does is walk around San Francisco and take video of what's going on. And it's pretty fucking horrible.
Grim. Yeah.
It's super grim. It's a zombie apocalypse. So if you want to see a real life one, it's there. It's literally there. And
LA too, it looks like LA.
LA. It's happening to San Diego now, my home, like where I was born, which is unbelievable because that place was paradise.
Right.
Seattle used to be a clean city back in the day, folks. Used to be one of America's cleanest cities. I know it's very hard to believe, but it is. Portland used to be pretty fucking nice too. Portland used to be a very nice city. Not so much
anymore. What do all these cities have in common, Gary?
Man, it's escaping me right now.
I'm sure it'll. I don't know. I'm feeling a little blue. Maybe.
But yeah, no, like exactly. I feel a little blue too. Like get out in like at least the burbs or the country if you can. Because like there's no saving those cities any time in our lifetime. Like they could probably turn around in about 30 years.
Yeah, you need something to. Unfortunately, you need something to fail. You need these. Whatever,
and you don't want to be there when that happens,
right? And like, but I think, and the thing is people in those cities who are moving to places like Utah and Texas, and like they're not realizing they're the problem. They think, oh, I got to get out of here because it's these Trumpers that are ruining things. It's like, no, you voted for certain policies that are crumbling the floor underneath you, and
coming to fucking Texas and complaining about like too many churches or guns. It's like fucking Californians, man. God damn it. I wish they'd all go back. They're the bane of all us Texans' existence.
I just don't know I don't know where the trickery really like takes hold, because I've listened to friends talk about problems with cis white males, and and I share a similar story to Carrie Smith, and like I was towing that line for a minute, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like Trump woke me up, of all people, right? Like, well, it's more of the media lying, but I just think, wait a minute, like what? How are people still
the media's reaction to Trump was it woke up so many people. That's why he memed his way into the White House in 2016, and it was because, I mean, in the back of your mind, you remember it's like, well, Trump's always been a fucking braggart blowhard, but that was part of his shtick, and everybody loved him.
Yep.
Like everybody did. He made good SNL appearances. He had a show that was pretty successful. He was a pretty funny guy. Now everybody fucking hates him. He's a Nazi. How did that happen?
Pretty universally loved. I don't know if you said that, but like people really liked him.
No, like, respected in boxing, respected in wrestling, amongst wrestling fans, respected everywhere. I would say beloved. Yeah, like I wouldn't say he's like America's dad or like Jimmy Stewart, but like people go, yeah, I love that guy because he tells it like it is,
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, it's weird to see like people like suddenly like the only thing I could say is like they're like poisoned by all this. And and you can't even it's everything's so bifurcated. You can't disagree on something. Like if I want to say I had actually a debate on TikTok with people about how like they were anti-red pillars, and I was telling them about the Charlottesville like speech and how it was all taken out of context. And they're like, no, it wasn't. I'm like, bro, go look at it on YouTube right now. Like you don't take my word for it.
It was 90% a manufactured event, kind of like January 6th.
Yeah.
And then they use that event over and over again until they get a new one to use over and over again. And they know that they're what within each event there was some truth. That's all they needed.
Yeah.
And then they can add the 90 to 80%. That's how this works.
Yep.
That's how this fucking works. And how this stops working is getting rid of mainstream media completely. Getting rid of corporate media completely. Don't watch them. don't listen. I know you might have a guy on Fox you like or something like that. That's fine. Greg Gutfeld. But just look at Tucker now that he's away from Fox, the former neocon.
Yep.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
It changes with us. We no longer can afford to kick back and let our news be spoon-fed to us, or our taxes done for us, or our school, just let somebody else go out and vote for the school council, the local school council, or the county supervisor, or the mayor, or the sheriff. No, it's now on us. And I say that to me as much as anybody, because I didn't give a fuck before.
Yeah.
Got to go out and vote. The local elections around you are way more important than any fucking president, because those people do lord over you.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can't take our freedoms for granted, because they are now trying to take our speech, our expression, our way of life. Dude, I was watching an Amazon ad, a fucking Amazon ad. If you guys can search it, find it. This Amazon ad is about a girl who moves into a cement block apartment, a studio apartment, and the commercial's about how Amazon makes her life better by watching Prime and filling her prison cell full of plants. And it looks like a fucking prison cell. I'm shit you not. That's the ad. And they're like, yay, Amazon. I'm like, and they pull out from the building. It's like this ugly fucking building. I'm like, that was not just a commercial on Amazon. Well, but it's real. And they're like, that's your life. That's what people want for you. Fuck that.
Well, on top of that, so I was actually, I did a little, I did a live stream a couple weeks ago, actually, about this, one of the medication ads. I don't even remember what it was for. It was for some antidepressant like enhancer. And it was
enhancer.
Yeah. So it's supposed to help the antidepressant work better.
So your antidepressant stops working probably because you build up a tolerance. All right. Cause I've never taken one. So there's now a pill for the pill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds like the drug companies.
But throughout the whole thing, so there's a lady who's walking around with this like face sign that's sad.
I've seen that one. It's the circle with the sad face sign. Yes.
Listen to that ad next time you hear it, or like I don't remember what it's called, but that ad is so fucked up. It says like, don't take this if you're pregnant. May cause seizures, may cause a wiggle in your leg that could kill you, may worsen your depression, may cause suicidal thoughts. And I go,
yes.
What?
Don't take this if you're living. It may cause death.
Right. Like this is where we're at. We're in the United States. We're putting ads on TV that are like, sit in your cement prison cell, order things on Amazon, don't go outside. Yay. Take this medication because you need an antidepressant and you're sad, and this will help the antidepressant work better or kill you. Yay. That's where we're at.
Yeah. And that's the Disbrew was telling, and I didn't know this. Like, you can't do you can't sell pills in the UK. That those ads are illegal.
They should
be.
Like,
they should be. They absolutely should be.
Yeah.
The reason we have a fentanyl problem is because we had a Pfizer, the corporation that everybody was sucking the dick of, helped create with many other companies, the opioid epidemic. And then when the government cracked down, after all the doctors were paid off, they invented Suboxone to get you off it. Then they pulled that from you, made it harder for you to get. So now you have, if you're an addict and you didn't get your treatment and you're on your own, you just got to go find fentanyl. Now, if you've never done drugs, you're like, why don't you just quit? Opioids, you can't just quit.
Nope.
Unfortunately, it's so addictive, it can actually kill you. The kick can, you can survive it, but it's best to have medical supervision while you're kicking. And yes, the kick can kill you. Same with alcohol. The kick from alcohol can kill you too.
I got a question, and then I'm gonna go to the super chats and we'll wrap this up. But
yeah, methadone's the worst. Methadone and Suboxone are fucking terrible.
So one thing I've kind of looked at, and there's been other countries that have tried it and been somewhat successful. What do you think about like they call them free injection zones, but there are countries that do have clean clinics that you can go to where you can get the purest form of the drug and sort of wean yourself off of it, like heroin or like cocaine and stuff. Like, it's not cut with anything. What do you think about that sort of like treatment? Do you think there's, I mean, as a recovering addict, so this is a totally, you know, it's probably a
No,
loaded
that's a
question,
tough.
but
I wish I had an answer because the libertarian in me thinks they should be legal.
yeah, I'm with
That's
you.
a tough one, but I think you're fucking stupid if you do any.
Yeah.
It should
Well,
be legal, but you're retarded if you try any. And if you're an addict, which a lot of you are, and you might not have taken because it's brain chemistry. You are born that way,
yeah.
right? And it clicks the right thing, and you click with the right drug, man, you are jails, institutions, or death. But I've never had an answer for that. As far as like clean needles, the government providing, I think that sounds to me. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not.
Well, not just clean needles. It's the drug wouldn't be cut with anything. So it's a pure, you wouldn't need as much. It's pure.
I
So
think you're
it's a
enabling the
clean
addict.
high. But
I
yeah,
think you need to be
right.
pushing people towards sobriety. If it's cleaning, if it's like a medical detox, this works in, I'm going to sound terrible, in homogenized countries. I think
Yeah.
this works in homogenized countries with smaller populations.
Yeah.
I think in a place like Canada, it might work, or Amsterdam, or some smaller European country that's pretty
I think Portugal it's worked
developed.
in. Yeah. I think
Pretty
Portugal
developed,
worked
has
in.
some surplus money to spend on it. Sure. That
Yep.
doesn't work in Africa. That doesn't work in American cities. It doesn't work in a country this big. There's just too much. And it's really it's a societal problem that I honestly don't know how. You can't go to war on drugs. You'll never stop. You can't stop the black market. Black markets are
Prohibition,
necessary
yeah.
for a free market.
Right.
You guys all know that, right? There's a great Battlestar Galactica episode from the modern series that really explains why black markets are not only necessary, they're allowed to a certain extent, because they're like a stop gap. But I don't have, my answer is, if you're an individual and you are suffering and you want to quit, you need to go to a meeting. I think if you want to do the rehab route, don't go to Malibu and pay $100,000. I think that's a waste of money.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of much cheaper ones, halfway houses. There's a Crash in San Diego. That's the one I went to, which is behavioral modification. And that's exactly, it sounds horrible, but that's what it is. And you stay there minimum 6 months, probably a year. And it acts as a halfway house. You go through stages, right? So the first 30, 60 days, you don't leave the house. You don't. You are meetings every single day. And then they very slowly get you to a point where you're working around the house, and then you're going out and finding a job, and then they cut you loose. Or you can stay if you want to stay. And then if they cut you loose from there, I would say then go to sober living for a year, where you're in a house. There's a lot of SLEs around here, a lot of good ones, where you're surrounded by sober people. You got your meeting in the house. Depending how, I think it sounds really hard, but it's easier than dying or going to prison or going into an institution.
Did you? This is actually my last question. Then we're going to super chat and then
Sure.
Get done. What did you through your sobriety, and they say recovery is forever, basically, or
It is.
it's an ongoing process. Was faith a part of that for you? Or because I know, like, my brother is a recovering heroin addict, and he found his own faith. He's not full on like religious. He does go to church occasionally, but he's not like I wouldn't find him on Carrie Smith's Christian panel necessly, but he's somewhere. It's like
mine's spirituality. I would, and it is a faith. Like, I do not go to church, but when I'm like reading the big book and we're reading the Lord's Prayer, no problem doing that at all. I really enjoy it, actually. No problem with the word God at all.
Yeah.
I totally believe in a higher power. I was a complete atheist before. I'm not now. So, no, I definitely believe there's a God, and I have my own form of spirituality, and I think that's necessary, but you don't have to believe in a God to have that.
Okay.
That you don't. And like, your sponsor will coach you up on the concept of a higher power, because essentially what it is, bottom line, for example, you will use God. There's something more powerful than you, that you can relieve yourself from some of the burdens,
Yep.
which a lot of the Bible does, and you give things up to your higher power, right? So it can't, so it's not, so you don't feel like you're freaking alone, for one.
Yeah.
And it's also, it really gets your brain working in a different way for that. You say your little prayer in the morning. Serenity prayer is something we say quite a bit in recovery. It's a great prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I say that one every day. And it's a way of relieving yourself of burdens you might not necessarily need, and it's changing, it helps you change a mindset too, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think the world was against me. I hated myself. I whined and bitched. I was a manipulative liar. I would just lie to lie, and it was very difficult to reprogram. I had to hit rock bottom and just go, I'm going to rebuild myself, and I'm just don't want to be this person anymore. I'm miserable. I'm not suicidal, so I'm going to have to live out my life as this miserable fucking person, or I can change it. And I did the work, and a lot of times I didn't think I would ever succeed. And then I realized, well, this isn't about succeeding. It's about getting better. It's about getting better, feeling better. And once you start feeling better, the world gets better. And it's not really, work gets easier.
Yep.
Okay, here's a good example. We'll get the super chats. A good example of how one of my sponsors taught me how to flip my mindset. I got to go to work today. Nope, you get to go to work today. It's the simplest thing.
Yep.
But it's how you flip your mindset is like, oh, I get to go to work today. And all of a sudden it reminds you, oh, be a little grateful because you were sleeping under a bush in front of a Long John Silver, pissing your pants.
Yes.
And now you're driving a car so it's a piece of shit. It's your car from your piece of shit, your apartment that you got a job and paid rent for because you worked. You humaned. Yep. Good job. So that's how it works.
Well, and that's the thing. I was gonna say once you finish, and you hit it already. I think everyone should do this. I talked about this with Carrie yesterday. Like reciting some sort of or keeping a gratitude journal. Just writing down things that you're grateful for every day is really important, especially when you're on a path of redemption or trying to rebuild your life. Like I was a pretty shitty person for a long time, like kind of like what you were saying, Gary. And I didn't really get into drugs, but I womanized, I drank, I was just lying to people to lie, like you said. And it didn't feel good. My kids saved my life both times. We talked pre-show, and people who have followed me knew that I had seizures back in January, 5 of them. My 5-year-old, I saved my life pretty much. He called my wife, who called the ambulance that took me to the hospital, that got me the care I needed so I didn't lay on the floor all day. And then when he was born, he was born 2.5 months early. And there is 4 months in a hospital, him in an incubator for half that time, seeing what, just praying, even though I didn't, I'm not religious, but just praying, please let him wake up. Please let this treatment go well. It let me realize, I'm grateful. Today, my son gets to wake up. I get to be a dad today. I get to have a warm shower today. These are all things that are important. And I think that people forget to do that. We live in a society that's so easy. We just go and get whatever we want. We can just be fat assholes.
Still thinking about the next thing.
Right.
The next thing. A really important saying that it took me years to get my head around is stay in the here and now.
Yeah.
Don't future trip. Don't worry about the next thing.
Stay
in the here and now.
Yeah. Don't sit in the past, because it's not who you are, man. You don't have to be that. We learn from our mistakes, and become better people.
Yep.
But super chats, yo, this has been a great stream, y'all. Thank you so much for your donations tonight. Over on Stream Elements, we had a $3.30 anonymous tip. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for that. Black Angus reviews with the 199 says Star Wars is dead. It is.
Has been for a while.
Yep. And the Acolyte is just going to prove that.
It's just a laugh. It's just watching it for a laugh. Because they're not really providing any comedy, so the unintentional comedy and ripping it is actually a good time.
Is that going to be a limited series? Like, is that supposed to be like a 3 or 4 episode thing? Like, it doesn't.
Acolyte, 8 episodes.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
We get to balance it out with House of the Dragon, though.
True.
So it'll be good thing, and then thing I can just make fun of.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike has bad knees. What's up, Mike? Good to see you. For $5 says there's another guy who theorizes that the pyramids were used for chemical manufacturing. Interesting. I would
maybe, yeah, like lots of crazy ideas. What I don't think they were for is tombs for dead people, for dead pharaohs.
Right. That came
that came later,
way after.
So
right.
so the whole theory is that it did take that like the foundation of the pyramid is really old, like possibly old. And the pyramids could have been built up, rebuilt, refurbished. The Sphinx has been refurbished and recarved. It's unrecognizable from what it used to be. Robert Schock, who I'm going to see in a couple weeks at an event, believes it's 25,000 years old. And and he's an academic scientist, and he has science to prove it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Albert Not a Retro for 5 Canadian pesos says, Gary, if you keep making these appearances, you'll be a success one day.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Albert. Joe C818 Pure Blood for 5 says everyone needs to visit the Valley of the Gods in Utah.
Yes.
Plenty of evidence of an advanced ancient past in America.
Yeah, it's freaking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah. I live right on the Wasatch Front, like north of Salt Lake. It's so beautiful up here. Like you just take it every day. I wake up, I see these beautiful giant mountains, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Lord Pepsi for $2 says, "Hey, guess what? Star Wars is dead."
Star Wars is dead.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Star Wars.
Raiden Cage for $2. Just stop by to say thank you so much, Nerdrotic.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
And we got a big pink boy, JH. Let's give a little applause here. JH Schwalbach says, Gary, you were there. Why are you hiding the truth? What you need to explain is Sydney Sweeney's chest and how does it defy gravity?
Well, what is gravity, JH Schwalbach? Whatever her chest does, we need to find a way to reverse engineer it and put it into for one, safety on boats and probably anti-gravity drives to travel. I think Sydney Sweeney's tits are the secret to anti-gravity. I think they are. The singularity, except they're 2. So
those might be the single best evidence that there is a God. I mean,
yeah. and if I don't know if it's just a bullshit rumor, but if she's actually in a movie with Ana de Armas, I don't know if society can take it. I honestly don't know.
Oh, dude, I saw that and I was like, everyone's get their tissues ready. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Happy tissues. Happy tissues.
Yeah. Abigor for 666. Gary, if a genie offered you the answers to 3 historical mysteries, what would you wish to know?
Oh, number 1, Atlantis. Number 2, who built the pyramids? What's the biggest one? Oh, Ark of the Covenant. Is it real? Oh no, yeah. Where is it? Of course it's real. Where is it?
Right. Ooh, those are good ones. I like that. Professor Savage, Dad, what's up, man? Member for 1 month says, hail, Shags and Gary. Hail, brother.
Hail.
And then Professor Savage, Dad, is 2 super chats right now. The same one for $10 says, well, I guess for 20 total. The methadone clinic helped my sister in her death. They let her stay on it forever, never weaned her off. And when we had to clean out her place when she passed there were half bottles of it everywhere. Dude, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fucking brutal. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, methadone is at least like if Suboxone is supervised, it can work. Now they have a shot now, apparently, that works fairly well. I don't believe in getting rich quick. I don't believe in free lunches, and I don't believe that a shot can completely cure you from a drug.
Yeah.
But and especially when they're charging $1,200-$1,500 for, right? That you need to get like 4 times. That's
Right.
better than Suboxone though, and better than methadone. Heroin's the worst. Heroin and opiates are the worst. Like speed, which I mostly like, you feel like shit for a week, but you're not going to die.
Yeah.
You're not going to die. So it's pretty bad. Drugs are bad. Okay. Sorry about your sister though. Yeah. I've had too many friends die. Too many friends die in really freaking horrible ways.
DJ Ronnie with the 5 says a job suddenly feels like a privilege when you're between work. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
When you're not working, you really appreciate having a job, and honestly, like work, like a lot of other things, it's the journey of it all. Like you shouldn't be working in a job you hate. Like I'm a firm believer, like work in something that you enjoy. I know it can't always be the case.
No.
But work is a part of life. If you can do what you love, great. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of the ones you love. Find a way to enjoy every minute of it. And if you can't, like, get out of that job. There are a lot of jobs out there.
My part sales jobs, I mean, it was just it's the place you work at, I think, really matters, right? Because I had some really shitty places, and their place I freaking loved.
Mhm.
Absolutely loved working there. Loved going to work every day, doing my little parts job. It was fantastic. And I was like, if this is it, I'm cool, because I never thought I'd get to this point where I could make enough money to buy a condo, right? That was such a huge thing to me.
Yep. VJ Noyle 316 for $9.99 says this stream is awesome. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you.
It. Yeah, cheers. Trying to, I think this has been a great show. The chat's been lively. I think the discussion's been awesome. And JH Schwalbach came through with another. Whoops, that was the wrong button. Another 50. Oh, P.S. Gary, when's your book coming? From Folsom to Freedom, a Nerdrotic story. Oh, okay. That's not the title, but it should be.
It probably should be. They really wanted to put like, a different title. We're putting the I had to work to get the prison part in there though, because I'm like, well, that's kind of the big part of the book. I think we're looking for I got to get back to, we're waiting on some art basically. So it's a book that has 7 sections. Each section is going to have a splash page, a comic splash page. I am going to draw one. It will suck, but just wanted to let you know I'm going to do one. Okay. We have one other artist. We need to find the others. Once that's done, I think it's going to probably go for the people publishing it and helping us. They want to be done by September, but I'm not going to put it up for sale until October. I want to do it around the holidays.
Nice.
So later this year.
Cool.
But I won't charge you for it till it's printed and ready to go.
Nice. Matthew Hammond for $5 says a great sci-fi series, Stargate, proposed that the pyramids were landing pads for spaceships. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's cool for Stargate.
Yeah.
Well, and that's pretty much the Zachariah Sitchin thought that. He thought that about Baalbek for sure.
Yeah. But Buddha Cafe for $2 says Gary, discover Genghis Khan's tomb or Cleopatra's?
Genghis Khan, because so many of us are related to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think Genghis Khan would be my choice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's secret.
Yep.
And he lived to an old age and raped the shit out of a lot of people.
No, guys, this has been awesome. I want to thank everyone in the chat who came by today and hung out, for all the super chats. Fucking epic day of super chats. Gary, thank you so much for your time. We went a little bit over what we expected, but I thought the conversation was great. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Anything you want to plug before you go? I mean, everyone kind of knows your schedule, but in case you got something extra you want to talk about.
Hey, Friday Night Tights 300 tomorrow.
Nice.
You know what? Let's give you guys a little bonus. So a drinker's coming on. And we got a special guest coming on so we start at 3 Central. We have a special guest coming on at 4:30 Central. You're hearing it. It's a Shags exclusive.
Yes.
Gina Carano.
What?
Gina Carano.
That's
Gina
awesome.
Carano will be joining us, and maybe a couple other people we don't know. But yeah, she'll be coming in halfway through the show. So join us tomorrow for 300.
That's awesome. So you got Drinker and then Gina Carano coming through halfway, and then some other people showing up at some point.
Yes.
Cool.
Maybe. Dude, that part I don't know, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we got Gina for about like half hour. So yeah, definitely tune in, and Drinker the whole show.
Cool.
And it'll just other than that, it'll be a regular show. But now the secret is out. Well, you won't tell anybody, right, guys?
So, right, chat. All 624 of you, just
hail.
Now thank you guys so much. It's been awesome. Again, this has been a great talk. Thank you, Gary. Guys, this Monday we got a new episode of Ready, Set, Shag. We'll be sitting down with my friend Brahma. He'll be with me. We'll be probably talking some religion. We do interviews here Monday and Thursday. If you liked what you saw today, I like to do interviews when I can during the week. We got a lot booked the next couple of weeks. But thank you for all the subscribers tonight. I saw a bunch of you guys subscribed. You guys are great. This fellowship, this community is full of so many great people. I look forward to seeing you guys at meetups. Follow me on Twitter. My links are down below. You'll find out where I'm going to be. I'm traveling a little bit this year too, to try and get out and meet some of you guys. See Gary, see the whole crew. It's going to be fun. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Ciao.
Oh no.